G'day, Professor Joseph Drew. This video is made for my good friends at Leeton. In this video, I use metaphors to get at really deep, profound truths. Truths that most of us don't want to accept or acknowledge. But at the end of the day, as you'll see, if you reflect upon these metaphors, they're just the way reality is. Look, I like Tim Tams. I used to like them an awful lot. But the problem for me is this. If I go down to the IGA at Katingle, Tim Tams are around $7 a packet, and I'm just not willing to pay that. I've got a strict budget I've got children's centre, university, a retirement to plan for, and I'm just not prepared to pay $7 a packet. Now, imagine if somehow I was able to force Arnott's to give me these Tim Tams that are about half price, about $3.50. I'd be happy because I like Tim Tams and I could consume as much as I want and I'd be paying a price that was exceptionally cheap, and I think the arrangement was pretty good for a very short period of time. Because what would happen in that case? One of a few things. Either Arnott's would immediately cease producing Tim Tams because they couldn't cover their costs and would be making a loss, or alternately, Arnott's would continue, but they'd ultimately go broke. That is just the reality, economic reality, whether we like it or not. Now, the situation is this in Leeton. It's not that dissimilar. You guys have been paying just above half price for services for a long period of time, and this is all outlined in my report. The facts are there from audited financial statements, whether we like them or not. And just like Arnott's with the Tim Tams, that makes us happy because we get to consume a good standard of services and we get to consume it at an incredibly cheap price. But just like Arnott's and Tim Tams, one or two things is likely to happen. A, we won't be able to afford to produce those services anymore, we'll just have to stop. Or B, we'll have a significant financial sustainability crisis. We're not there yet. We're nowhere near there yet. But we want to make sure we don't get there. Now, there is another very important metaphor, so don't tune out, because it looks at things from a different side. Now, I should say that my intellectual hero, Aristotle, said metaphor was the most powerful of all the rhetorical devices, and I agree. And there's been some famous historical figures over time who have also clearly agreed. Anyway, there is another option. If I don't want to pay the $7 a packet that the IGA is charging for Tim Tams down the road, I can go and do what I actually do, which is to go to Aldi and buy the Just Divine cheapy knockoff version. Now, I'll be frank with you, the Just Divine Tim Tams are nowhere near as good as real Tim Tams. I don't get a choice in flavours, for instance. I used to prefer the dark chocolate ones. I can't get them now. I also like the caramel ones from time to time. That's also off the menu. But I wasn't willing to pay the price for Tim Tams, for the real ones, and the only other realistic option, if I still want to consume Tim Tams into the future, is to lower my tastes and preferences, lower the standards of services I want to get. And that's exactly what I've done. And that is also an option for people at Leeton. You've had standards of services and infrastructure way beyond anything I've ever seen in a council anywhere near your size. It's unbelievable what your staff, councillors and GM have managed to pull off over the last decade or more. It is absolutely unbelievable. But we've got to a situation where we know for a fact now we can't afford that. We can't afford Tim Tam standard services for a Just Divine price. So we have a couple of choices. We can either pay a Tim Tam price, or we can reduce our tastes and preferences to Just Divine. Now, what's interesting is every time you go out to a community, they say, we don't want the fee increases, we don't want the rates increases, we'll reduce standards of our services. And then you propose some services you reduce, and, oh no, we can't have that. Well, you can't have it both ways. Just like I can't buy Tim Tams for $3.50. It's just not possible. That's reality. It's very sad, but that's the way economics and arithmetic works, and there's no way to get around it in the long run. Look, I hope this video has given you much food for thought. Yes, pun intended, and I'm sure you're all racing to the fridge to grab a packet of Tim Tams right now, and my apologies for that. However, these metaphors get at really, really powerful truths, and they get at the heart of the decision that we must face and confront, the reality that we must face and confront at Leeton. Look, I only want to help you guys out. That's why I have things like my private YouTube channel, Professor Joseph Drew. Type it in, hundreds of videos, knock yourself out. You'll see that I always give honest, prudent, frank advice. That's all I'm trying to do here. I hope it helped you a lot. Thank you very much for your time. Goodbye.